We're back on the Morning Brew with friends, and we got our friend Steve. And Steve, this is great fun. And you walked all over the city and wrote a book about it. Just came out a couple weeks ago. Tonight you're going to be at Bookworks.
That's correct.
Signing it. That'll be great. And I noticed you have one little page tabbed here. What's on that page? And what is?
Oh, I can't tell you what's on that page.
Oh, is that the not safe for work page?
That's the not safe. No, that's the first correction in the book. So all the corrections go on the website, so you can see what little small error I made.
What changes?
Little typo.
Well, there's little typos, but there's also stuff that has changed and grown. We were just talking about how when you moved here 19 years ago, that was just when the North Valley was going through big changes.
It was.
That was when you were here. And what were you working on then in the North Valley? Were you working on similar books, or was that the hiking book?
I was working on my first novel then, which was also about Albuquerque. And
remind me which one that was.
It was called Typical Pigs. Not a big bestseller like the guidebooks, but it was. I had been here for a couple of years, and I thought I knew Albuquerque well enough to write a novel about it. And
I have a signed copy of
it. And then did you realize you did know Albuquerque? Didn't know Albuquerque?
I knew an Albuquerque, but if there's anything about this book, it's like there's so many diverse perspectives of how people do know Albuquerque, how they know their neighborhood or the history of it. And
do you feel like an Albuquerquean now?
I still feel.
Did you cross that divide and become one of us?
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't claim that yet. I think you have to go back several generations. And on my wife's side, one of her great grandparents was born down in Old Town during the Civil War. It doesn't count because we told them in Old Town and they really didn't care.
Well, I've always, I think Steve and I both know this is the high school rule. If you went to high school here, or put kids through high school here, one or the other, you said you are an Albuquerquean then. But when you're doing the book, was there one neighborhood that you're looking at that you know is going to be different in say 2 or 3 years? That one neighborhood as you're doing walking Albuquerque, you know that the rail yards, for example, that's going to be a dynamic changing neighborhood.
Right.
Nob Hill is seeing changes unlike anything else we've seen there in quite a while. Northeast Heights is seeing a lot. You had photos of the Elena Gallegos and also the North Valley that's completely being developed now. Was there one neighborhood that you know is kind of captured in time in this book that is unlike any other neighborhood?
That's captured in time, or is going to change?
You captured it in the book in a certain moment that a year from now, 2 years from now.
Oh, Mesa del Sol. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, that's just.
You have the big picture of the snake.
Right.
There's the snake. Yeah.
And that's on the approach. That's actually the one picture that isn't on a walk, but you can get out and walk there, and it's worth walking because that snake is 400 feet long.
Yeah, it's a hike just to walk the length of that thing.
Yeah. And it's a great piece of public art, I think.
Right.
And there's so many in this town.
Well, what do you think, looking at Mesa del Sol, and what could that be? I mean, when you were walking around it, did you look at it and say, wow, there's so much potential here, or did you?
It's a tough call. There's a long report on what's going out there, and I tried to summarize it the best I can. I mean, the thing that drew me to the neighborhood most was the story that preceded it. I mean, that was where the atomic bomb was dropped on Albuquerque back in '57.
Right.
And even though you can't get really legally to the bomb site, and there was a marker there.
That was the neighborhood.
That was it.
That was the neighborhood.
And so, I just think that's this one of the most fascinating pieces of Albuquerque history.
I don't think even locals realize that. Or we forget, you live with it and you forget these things. We'll be back in a second. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these day hikes and a whole lot more on the Morning Brew with friends.